Hey guys, welcome back to Hardware Unboxed for another episode of What Does It Take to Play? Previously, we looked at what kind of hardware gamers need to play Dirt 4 at 1080p and maintain over 60 FPS at all times. The focus here is on new hardware, so we went with the Pentium G4560 and Radeon RX 570, and that combo delivered very impressive results. For those of you unfamiliar with the series, the point is to quickly show gamers in 5 minutes or less what kind of hardware they need to achieve a set performance criteria. In this case, we want to play Destiny 2 at 1440p and maintain around 60 FPS for the most part. Destiny 2 is a brand new title that just hit beta status, and I have to say the game looks amazing. Developer Bungie recommends gamers ensure their system's packing at least a GeForce GTX 970 or Radeon R390, and for the CPU a Core i5-2400 or a Ryzen 5 1600X. Currently, I'm testing around 30 GPUs in Destiny 2 at 1080p, 1440p and 4K using the high quality preset, so I've already got a pretty good idea of what kind of performance gamers are looking at with a varied range of hardware. For those wanting to game at 1440p, I've found that Bungie are right on the money, as I've found both the GTX 970 and R9 390 deliver a great experience, pushing over 50 FPS at all times and often hovering around 70 FPS, and of course this is with the high quality preset. For a similar experience though on modern hardware, the 3GB version of the GTX 1060 works very well in this title, as I'm about to show you. Unfortunately though, please be aware whenever I enabled the on-screen statistics, the game would crash after about 60 seconds or so, and then I would have to restart the single player tutorial from the start. So unfortunately I do have very limited footage with all the information up on the screen, and yeah, I realise that's quite disappointing. Before we get into that though, here is a look at the quality settings used. For now I've avoided using the highest preset, which uses MSAA, and I found the impact on performance was massive while the improvement in quality really wasn't noticeable. So with the high preset enabled, the anti-aliasing mode is set to SMAA, and HDAO screen space ambient occlusion is used. I found that with most of the graphics cards tested, even the ultra high-end models, dropping down from the highest quality preset to the high quality preset improved frame rates by over 80%, and like I said, there was really no noticeable difference in image quality. The GTX 1060 3GB wasn't much slower than the 6GB model, and even at 1440p there were no missing textures or issues with the single player tutorial, which looked amazing I might add. As for the CPU, the developer recommends the Ryzen 5 1600X, but I found the exact same experience with the Ryzen 3 1200, and that's without overclocking the CPU. So for this What Does It Take to Play episode, I've used the R3 1200 and GTX 1060 3GB. For the most part, frame rates at 1440p did stay above 60 FPS. And the small pass I was able to show before Afterburner caused the game to crash, we saw a minimum of 51 FPS and an average of 63 FPS. For those of you wondering, the same hardware combo was good for an average of 102 FPS at 1080p with a minimum of 78 FPS. For a game that looks this amazing and isn't even released yet, I have to say Destiny 2 appears extremely well optimized for the PC. At least that's been my experience so far. Destiny 2 does utilize core-heavy CPUs very well, and by that I mean it spreads the load across all physical cores very well, and I've seen this on the Ryzen 5 1600 and R7 1700. That said, the game doesn't give the CPU a huge amount of work, so while the work that the CPU does have to do is balanced across all the available cores very nicely, it's still not enough to overwhelm a modern quad-core. At times though, the Ryzen 3 1200 did see CPU utilization spike at around 90%, but for the most part it was really hovering down around 60 to 70%. Looking at the frame time data, the game played extremely smooth with the R3 1200 and GTX 1060 3GB combo, so this is what I recommend gamers bring to the table for playing Destiny 2 in all of its glory, at least with settings that make sense. Are there any other games you'd like me to check out with certain test criteria such as targeted frame rate, quality settings or resolution for example? Anyway, if so, let me know in the comment section below and I'll do my best to make that happen. Also, keep an eye out for the massive Destiny 2 GPU comparison coming in the next day or two. I'm your host Steve. Have fun gaming, guys.